Welcome to episode 11 of the On a Family Based podcast. My name's Jake.
I'm Dan.
I'm Dallas.
And Ben is not with us today, but we actually are just going to jump straight into baseball because this is the first episode we ever have where baseball's actually happening. So we can say baseball is back. It's very good news. I think for this podcast alone, it makes it a lot easier when baseball's actually happening. So it's a good thing. So the the CBA was signed and agreed upon late last week, and we're gonna go over some of those details because there's a lot in there. And we told you in past episodes we'd actually go over some of those things. So let's actually do that. So our first base topic is those CBA details. Now, the first thing is one of the most discussed slash argued about or disputed topics, which is the CBT or the luxury tax for baseball teams. So last year in 2021, the luxury tax CBT was $220 million. Anything over that, their team would get taxed a certain amount. So any deal they made that put them over that kind of payroll would, they'd be taxed at a higher rate the more money they spent. So 220 was the starting rate last year. Now, do you guys know offhand? I didn't plan for this, but offhand, how many teams even surpassed the minimum, the floor level in CBT? How many teams passed 220 mil last year? How many teams?
Is there 7?
I think 2.
Dun, 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 dun.
And in 2020, how many teams? 0. And then the year before that, I think was like 5 or 7. So this the minimum level for CBT has not really been passed very much. So it got raised this past year. And this is from an article. I'll read this pretty quick. Is that the competitive balance threshold, which taxes big spending teams that surpass pre-established limits, will be set at $232 million in 2022, which is nearly a 10% increase and will rise to $244 million in 2026. So that is the most disputed, most argued about thing. Now, I will say this. I didn't know anything about this before this agreement. Apparently, it's pretty important. So I'll ask you, Dallas, right away. Did you even hear about the CBT, the luxury tax, before this lockout?
I've heard of the luxury tax, and I just knew it pertained to like the big spending teams, like the Yankees, Cubs, people that could afford it, maybe. But as for like the numbers, no. And I was actually going to recommend that we tell people that might listen to this what it is, because I feel like it's one of those things that the only reason I've heard of it is because I talk to you guys or just listen to you guys talking about stuff, and that's it.
Break it down. Tell them what it means. I mean, if you're like you just recently kind of paid attention to have some knowledge in it. So
all I know is that if the team spends enough money, and they start going over it, they have to pay a fine or a fee.
Correct.
So that's all I got.
Legit.
But I don't know
it's
why
like a salary cap, but
I don't know why it's such a big deal.
But to owners, they would argue that it's not a cap, but teams don't spend over that limit. Mm-hmm. So is it a cap or is it not? They call it a soft cap.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would be a soft cap then, because they're paying a penalty for every X amount of dollars that they spend over it.
Right.
So
Yeah, which is why players wanted it to be raised so that players could get paid
More
more
money.
money, and teams wouldn't get penalized for spending more money. And it definitely got raised, and it's not to the level that the players wanted originally, but is an improvement. As I said, it's a nearly a 10% increase, which is something,
That's not good.
and is only going to rise from here. Now, I think now, Dan, if you know something about this, correct me on this. There's something in this CBA agreement that they're calling the Steve Cohen tax, which is the new Mets owner. Do you know anything about the Steve Cohen tax?
You know what? I heard it, and I haven't actually taken the time to look into why it's called the Steve Cohen tax.
Yeah.
But I this is oh, here I can tell you.
Yeah.
In Cohen's first season, the Mets traded with Cleveland for shortstop Francisco Lindor, and then signed him to a 10-year, $341 million contract extension. The team's 2021 payroll for luxury tax purposes was $203 million, according to Fangraphs, just under the luxury tax threshold of $210. So it's I would assume that it is known as now going forward as the Steve Cohen luxury tax due to the fact that he pretty much stretched the limit and tried to push it as close as he could. I mean, I'm not sure that was his intention, but I do remember when the Mets traded for Lindor.
Yeah, and in this offseason, the Mets have signed Max Scherzer, they signed Starlin Marte, they signed Kane from the A's.
Kenna.
Kenna.
Yeah.
So they've signed big names for big dollars. And the Steve Cohen tax, I think, if I remember correctly, is I got the feeling as I heard about it that owners and teams were really just afraid that Steve Cohen, because of how much money he has, was just going to spend as much money as he wanted and
not
he didn't
care
care
about
about it.
Yeah.
So they wanted to raise the top level of the CBT agreement, which again is not 232, it's a bit higher, but they wanted it to kind of penalize even more so an owner like Steve Cohen. Now, if you guys don't know Steve Cohen's name, totally fine. I didn't know before last year.
Google him.
So, yeah, Google it. So,
tell him. Dang. I don't know Steve Cohen. Why don't you tell me? One of the Cohen brothers, sisters?
No, he is not.
Well,
those guys make movies.
Well,
this guy's a billionaire. I'll just say that. There's kind of a bit of a difference. Now, Steve Cohen he actually bought the Mets last year, and a big part of his selling pitch as the kind of purchasing the Mets in the first place was that his main goal was to win a World Series, which everyone says that, but he was actually going to spend money to do so. Yeah. Nice. So, I don't honestly.
That's the best thing about baseball.
Just spend money.
No, it's not. Is that you don't have to spend the money to win, and winning and spending money doesn't get you a guaranteed championship.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean you look at a lot of teams that, like even the Rays do it a very different way, but there's plenty of issues with teams that don't do it. To pay their players a lot of money. But anyway, so I don't know much about Steve Cohen the person. I just know he uses Twitter a lot.
Nice.
That's that's my extent. That's all I know. So if you guys apparently want a fun follow on Twitter, follow the New York Mets owner Steve Cohen. Apparently he's very active. So kind of going with that raise of the CBT is the minimum salary. Now we talked about this on past episodes. The minimum salary for the last player on the roster last year was $570,000. And in this new CBA starting this year, it's going to be 700K, and then it will increase $10,000 every year after for the next 5 years, which is the length of the CBA.
Well,
Now, I know we talked about this a little bit, but I am in favor of players who have worked super long for this one goal of making the pros to get paid 700K. Now, do you guys? I feel like in our conversations, I remember hearing that there were some downsides of you know this kind of raise of minimum salary. So, Dan, did you have something on this?
I mean, my only thought was I'm all for uh, people getting paid. If if you can get as much as you can out of it, whatever how much ever you feel you're worth, go for the money, whatever. I just didn't think that the players when the original CBA details were released when they were not agreeing and they were like 200 and some $1,000 off
Yeah,
between where
yeah,
the owners were and where the players were. And like the players were originally asking for like $30,000 to $40,000 raises every year, and they
Right.
wanted to
yeah,
start at like 750.
yeah,
Like I get it, but I
But also no.
it also was like it was like a 200 and some $1,000 jump from last year to
Right.
where they wanted to start this year. Like Jake just said, it was what 570.
like 500. Yeah, 570 and 500 or something.
Yeah, and they wanted to start at 750. It's another what $180,000 jump.
Yeah,
Like I mean, don't get me wrong. Get your money. You're not guaranteed anything in life. Get your money while you can. You know.
Oh,
Uh, but I was kind of more on the owner's side on that aspect of where the starting point was because I mean, but hey, it worked out for the players in the end. They got the CBA starts at 700 and goes up every 10,000 for the next 5
yeah,
years. So
yeah,
so they're gonna in 2026 they will or whatever 2027 26 they will the minimum salary for a Major League Baseball player will be $750,000.
right.
Like I get it, but I thought I was more siding on the owner when all the details first came out. I was more with the owners that like it was a big stretch. I thought there was no reason they couldn't like 650, 660 and go up 10,
Yeah.
15. I would have been okay with that. I thought it was a stretch.
Yeah, so the one thing I thought when that big jump came out was again, I think I mentioned this in previous episodes, was that whenever and again, I have not done this, so I'm not speaking from experience or anything, but when my wife was uh potentially gonna take a job with a company, they had to negotiate salary, which is if you're in that kind of privileged position in your negotiating salary, you're doing well for yourself. That's not the point though, is that what she did was that she in negotiation she had to set a high bar, and then in negotiations you really come to kind of a middle or maybe one side gets more or less.
Right. You
Now,
always start off high and you come
right,
down to where you realistically think your value is. Obviously, you want to come out high and see where they
right,
go.
right.
Oh,
So
it's
if
all part
you
of the negotiation. I get it.
yes, so if you start at 750, maybe your goal was 700 all along. And that was kind of the point, is that they wanted to get a certain mark. And then obviously if your if your minimum starts that much higher, your CBT, your level of your income payroll has to go up too, because you have income raise amongst your players. So maybe they had that in mind as they were
Right. And I get
negotiating.
that. And there's always two sides. You could be on my side saying the players were a little high. And then there's guys that are going to be like the players would say the owners are trying to lowball. Like they wanted to keep the league minimum exactly pretty much where it was, or even a
Right.
little lower than where it was to start the year this year. You could
Yeah,
you could argue
which
both sides, but that's the point of negotiating. Both teams are going to want to go low on one and high on the other, and you try to
yeah,
find that mutual ground. That's how it works. I get it. I just thought the players were a little high on my opinion, and you know what? It worked out for them because they're closer to their number than they were to the owner's number.
right.
I'm gonna go against Dan. I'm gonna say
Shut
they
up.
didn't go high enough.
How high?
Why stop there? They should have gone with 1.2. That's all I'm
Mm.
saying.
Yeah, that would have been
One
a
million two
wi-
hundred thousand dollars for the league minimum.
For the
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'm talking
We'll end up
fat
there
boy salary.
in probably the next 15 years. We're going to have the league minimum easily in the next 10 to 15 years. League minimum is going to be $1 million, guaranteed.
well, I mean, the league minimum for the last player on a NBA bench is like near $940,000 a year.
There's also
The
less
NBA,
players on each team.
well, yeah, but it's think about the last player on NBA bench. Ellie and I were talking about this last week. Was that the last player on the NBA bench? How much court time are they really getting? They are getting like scraps, like
They
seconds.
might see 10 to 15 minutes a season.
Right. And so, but the 20, the last player on the baseball team's roster, they're playing a bunch of games. They're in high leverage situations too. Like they're
Yeah.
not like
It's also
picking
an
up.
entirely different. It's like a different whole aspect of sports. Baseball plays 162 games a season, which is a lot more wear and tear on your body. But bad basketball is going to argue it's more of a contact sport, which is going to be more wear and tear on your body.
I mean,
there's both sides to both.
All I'm saying is 1.2. Let's get back to the original point here.
All right, Dow.
You guys got sidetracked. It's 1.2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of a higher salary. And that kind of goes into the second part, was that someone, I think it was John Heyman on the MLB network, while they were talking about the agreement, he was talking about the minimum salary, but then he brought up the next topic we'll go over, which is the pre-arbitration pool. I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but if you're in pre-arbitration, so if you're in your first 3 years on the big league team, from now on, you are eligible to make a bonus for your performance on the field. Now, this bonus pool, this thing didn't exist before now. So this is a brand new thing. So the pre-arbitration pool incentivizes players in their first 2 years. Again, depending on how well they do, they get more money. So if a pre-arbitration player wins the Cy Young or the MVP, they get a bonus of $2,500,000, which is a big deal. Now, if you get second place for MVP or Cy Young, you get 1.75. If you're in third place for the MVP or Cy Young, you get 1.5, and so on. Now, what this kind of incentivizes again is more money for players who were younger. Now, the one thing is that Dallas, I know you're joking.
It's
I
amazing.
think, I think you're joking about one over 1 mil. Are you? No. Well, it's too busy eating, so I won't, interrupt. But John Heyman on the MLB Network said, I think it was him. He said, if you're going to make it 700K and you're going to give these bonuses, why not just make it a flat 1 mil for 5 years and not even worry about these bonuses and this, you know, uh, um, this potential X factors of making more money. So why not just make it super high and keep it flat for 5 years? Would that make it more tenable? Um, so
No,
Dallas,
I love your socialist like perspective. I really do. But
well,
if you're
that was
trying to,
me.
I know. But if you're trying to like, nah. I mean, that's capitalism at its best. Like you incentivize people to perform better. Go on, make that bread, especially if their salary is 700 or like league minimum. That winning Cy Young, shit. If you can come out and pretty much double, like triple your salary in just for the year, I mean, yeah, why not? Keeps players from, I don't know, going Chris Sale every day and like tearing up teammates' jerseys and not playing and being an overall scumbag.
Who is that?
Yeah, pump
White
them
Sox.
hate breaks on Chris Sale, there, guy. Pump those hate breaks.
He's the savior.
Maybe I don't know those stories. You want to fill me in?
Dallas was referring to the incident Chris Sale had where he cut up his own jersey
Mm.
in the locker room, not a teammate's jersey.
D-bag.
And it has nothing
Because he
actually to
didn't
do
want to
with
wear the
this
jersey.
current situation. Yeah,
You
it has
didn't want
nothing
to
to
wear
do
that.
with what's going on right now. Dallas is just taking a
Well,
shot to take a shot that has nothing to do with any of this.
Well, I mean, he was
I'm
on
just
the
talking
White
about. I'm
Sox.
talking about attitude. Like you can't just like not care. Like if you need that money, like if you're one of those players that's not making 30 million a year or 20 million a
Yeah,
year, like
yeah,
that 1.5, those bonuses would be huge. Like that's
yeah,
life changing. Like
yeah.
so, I mean, not every player is like in the position as other unnamed pitchers to just like do whatever they want to. Like that dude's gonna make a ludicrous amount of money anyways. Like winning the Cy Young is really just for a notch in the belt, you know. It's just for a trophy
Yeah.
in this house or something.
Yeah, so Dan, what do you think about this pre-arbitration pool?
I mean, I have no problem with it. It incentivizes people to perform. I like it's only open to the first three, which arbitration is only open to the people that are in their first 3 years of their MLB career, which is usually most rookie contracts are like kind of like an NFL type thing where the rookie contract is like 3 to 5 years. Like you're guaranteed that money for that amount of time, which you see a lot of more in other sports, like NBA and like the NFL with rookie contracts and that. And it's good to see MLB's kind of doing something very similar. Um,
Yeah, I mean, whenever players can make more money, I'm in favor of that. And the one cool thing I like about this is that when there's a new CBA in 5 years, this is the base. It can only go up from here. So I like that. I like that this established something that never was, and it can only go up for players. And especially young players. Anytime you can get players more money faster, it's going to help them down the road. And it's going to help them whenever they have to sign their first big contract, or if they're blessed enough to make it that far, they will have some money in their pockets and they performed well. So when they do, or when they are able to negotiate that first contract, they can actually have this base of where they've been at for the past couple of years. So I like that.
Right.
Now, something that kind of came out from this, and I want to get you guys' take on this, is that what do you guys think of the new postseason, the number of teams in the playoffs? They've increased it from 10 to 12. What do you guys think about the increase to 12 teams in the playoffs?
I don't mind it. Because you're just getting a full. The only real difference is you're getting a full wild card series instead of a playing game. Because you already have 5 per side, 3 winners, and then the 2 wild card teams fight it out. So it gives them a series. I don't mind it, and that's per league. Obviously, it's not like 12 teams. It's 6 and 6. So
Yeah.
it's more baseball.
Yeah.
I like it. Gives more teams a chance, to get hot at the right time, or stay hot, quote unquote, if you get a team that's fighting for a wild card spot that are hot at the time, and they could ride that into the postseason, man. Change, I'm all for it. I like it. More teams, more baseball.
So Dan, if you like more teams in the playoffs, would you have gone with the owners possible of 14 teams, or do you like
No.
12?
I like 12. I'm good with the 12 teams. I think 14
What?
teams, you're looking at virtually half the league then at 14 teams.
It takes away the
That's-
specialness of the postseason.
That'd be asinine. Granted, I know it's only 2 more teams. I get it, but I think 6 is per league is a good number. I would not have sided with the owners. I think 12 is an appropriate amount. If you're going to increase from the 10, I think the 12 is appropriate amount.
Yeah. So Dallas, what do you think? You said you don't like the option of 14. Do you like 12, or would you have kept it at 10?
I think 10 would have been fine. It's been fine. But it's kind of like Dan's position. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing more baseball, but as I was kind of referring to earlier, like, there has to be some type of exclusivity in the postseason. Like 14 teams would have been wild. That's darn near half the league. Like, that's just too much. And that's an automatic, like, half the teams, like, all you need to do is not suck terribly and you'd make the postseason. Like, it's just too much. So 12, I think that's the absolute max. 10, I actually prefer.
So do you like that with 10 teams? Do you like that one game playoff, that wild card 1 game playoff?
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
It's interesting because I would say the opposite is that I do not like that 163rd game because it brings down your entire season to 1 game, and you could do really well like last year if the Dodgers had lost to the Cardinals. So both teams had great years, but the Dodgers had been consistent. If the Dodgers had lost that game, you would have a team with over 95 wins lose 1 game and they're out. I don't like that part.
I agree, Jake.
I don't mind it.
I don't like the
Why? You guys,
163rd.
Dan, you love football. It's the exact same concept.
Well, football doesn't play series.
It's the entire postseason, though.
I get that, but football doesn't do series.
Well, basketball, like, they don't really do series throughout the regular season. They just play, what was it, 81,
they play 82 games.
Just random teams. Like, they don't play teams
It's like the NHL. The NHL's the same way. They play an 82 game season that turns into, because you don't have.
So
because in order to have a playoff,
kind of out though, like,
but baseball's not baseball. So why change it for the whole thing? Why then change that 1 game? If you have a baseball season that has that's built around series, the entire 162, why change it and make a 163 a single game?
I think it's exciting. It gives the people the chance.
It's 100% exciting. I love it. It's a great game.
And that's why it's awesome.
I don't like the fact that a team's postseason and a validity to their season is based on one single game.
Well, a lot of teams have had great seasons and not won the World Series.
100%.
That's just sports. That's the beauty of it. Like, that's the nature.
I get that, but I don't like that it comes down to one game. I want a series. You have two teams that finished the playoff that didn't make their division. Great. Now let the two best teams next fight it out in a 3-game series to see who gets to play to continue to play on. Just like the rest of the season has been based around series.
All right. Well, I mean, I understand why you'd want a series. I like the 1-game playoff. I think it's, like I said, it's exciting.
I get it. It's an all or nothing, balls to the wall, 1 game,
and that's cool. I think that's what people really like about postseason. Is like, and I think those wild card games can be outstanding.
100%, because it's virtually a game 7.
It's exactly it, and everybody loves Game 7. So, like, why would
nothing better in sports than Game 7? It doesn't matter what sport it is. You hear Game 7.
So why not make Game 7 Game 1 and the only one?
Because there isn't a Game 1 through 6.
Skip them. Let's go to 7. That's the only thing that matters.
Why not have a World Series of 1 game? Why not?
Let's just go to the bottom of the ninth. Let's just go to the bottom of the ninth.
Well, why the bottom of the ninth?
2 outs. Let's just 1 player pitching machine.
1 pitch. That's all you get.
That's it.
Home run derby. Come on.
Why don't we all just say what we're talking about? Let's have a home run derby every day.
So Dallas, if you had it your way, you would take with 10 playoff teams or 12?
Dallas would take none. He would take 1 team.
Dallas would stick with 10. Dan, you would like 12?
I don't mind the 12. I would have stuck with 10 personally, but I'm okay with the 12.
There's nothing wrong with being wrong, Dan. 12 is fine for you.
You're right. And when you're wrong, Dallas, everyone lets you know you're wrong.
Dallas had mentioned something earlier about half the teams would make the playoffs.
I'm sure it's wrong, probably.
Well, yeah, it is wrong technically, but the point being is that the owners look at the other major sports teams and they see the percentage of teams that make the playoffs, and like in the NBA. In the NBA, there are 30 teams and 16 make the playoffs.
That's asinine.
But it is the way it is. And but the point is no one's fighting that. So the one thing is that with baseball,
why would they?
So again, I'm agreeing that I think 12 or maybe if you change your mind to 10, I think 12 is a good starting point. But if they wanted to jump 4 teams in one CBA, too much. In 5 or 10 years, if they still are fighting for that and they still want to use that, then maybe. But in one CBA, you can't increase it that much.
So my thing is, it also is based. You got to base it off the number of teams in the league. Otherwise, it washes out like Dallas said, it takes away from making the playoffs. Then, because you could have a mediocre season, but you're still going to make the playoffs because, there's 7 teams in your division and the first top 3, top 4 make the playoffs. So good job, guys.
So Jay goes, all you need to do is not suck super.
You went 82 and 80 and you're in the playoffs. Good job.
Just don't go 62 and 100. You'll be all right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it all depends on like I said, the number of teams in the league. So if baseball continues to grow, to change.
Yeah.
I could see the number going up. I don't want it to get close to where 50% of the league is making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly excessive, and like I said, like Dell takes away from the birth, takes away from the season.
Okay. So I think
You're not right, Dell. I'm just agreeing with you.
I couldn't agree with Danimal more.
Wow. All right. Well, we have an agreement on that from you two, not me. But you know what? I'll list off the other rule changes. So a part of the CBA is that there are a bunch of rule changes that will start this year, and then some rule changes that will start next year. So rule changes that start this year is that there will be a universal DH. Number two, there are no more 9 inning, or sorry, there will be 9 inning doubleheaders. Last year there were 7 inning doubleheaders.
Yeah,
So
so
now
dumb.
it's
So
back
dumb.
to 9. So I agree. So the third thing is that there will be no more runner on second base in extra innings. Now, I just saw a report right before we record saying it potentially could still be in place for this season.
Yeah, they're thinking about bringing the Ghost Runner back. I saw that too.
But
Wait,
so
the Ghost Runner.
in extra innings, there's a runner. They had a runner on second base to make extra innings to go faster. Everyone, I mean, I didn't see anyone in support of that, but they're thinking about continuing it for this season. Now, I'm not sure why just this season, but supposedly when this deal was struck, it was supposed to be taken off the board. So we'll see about that. The last rule change is that players can only be optioned between AAA, so the minor leagues, to the pros 5 times in 1 year. Which you may be wondering, why the heck would they limit it to 5 times? That seems like a lot. Well, last year the Rays in Tampa Bay, they optioned a pitcher to Durham, North Carolina. By the way, they optioned him 12 times. 12 times.
Dude, I would just be mad for moving. I hate moving once a year. I would be so mad.
He moved 12
At that point, you wouldn't even
times.
pack your bag anymore. You wouldn't unpack.
No.
Like
Like,
after 4,
you
I'd be
know,
like, what? Okay, really? What we're gonna do? We're gonna do this? All right, fine.
cool.
Yeah.
So I'm living out of my car. Man, awesome.
I mean,
Hey,
pretty much.
David Price did it.
Yeah. So, is there one of those 4 rules? So, universal DH, doubleheaders, runner on second base, and the option of 5 times per year. Is there one that kind of you like? Is there one that you like more?
The one I liked. So I go back and forth between the one I like the most, but I like all 5 or all the. I should say all 5. We discussed 4 rule changes.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't mind the ones we discussed. I knew baseball was going to go to. Well, I expected baseball to go to a universal DH. It's been talked about for so long. Like, I'm sorry, as an avid baseball fan and a lover of baseball, I don't want to see the starting pitcher walk up to the plate and look at the first 2 strikes and then try to take a hack and a strike 3. It's a waste of an at bat.
Yes.
It's a waste of time.
Like, penalize pitchers for not trying.
I'm tired of watching pitchers. It's a joke. It's an extra out. It's an easy out. It's a joke. I'm tired of watching pitchers bat. They don't do it enough. They don't work on it enough. That's not their skill. I get it. So stop making them do it. I am. I've avidly been such a fan of the universal DH forever.
Such a joke. Damn, you're so hard right now.
You know,
I hate watching pitchers fake at bats. It's a waste of time and it's pointless. So that's probably the one that I love the most.
Yeah.
But also having been to the 7-inning doubleheader games in the last year, particularly, this is Little League.
Yeah.
You play 9-inning games. You're Major League
Right.
Baseball. Play 9-inning baseball games and move on. Like,
Yeah.
your guys are conditioned to play games. Play the baseball game. You're not children. You don't need to play 7-inning games. I'm done.
Yeah. Dan's really angry, so we'll just let him cool off. All right. No. So Dallas, which one do you like?
All I want to say is that I wish I was there when Dan found out it was only going to be 7 innings.
I was so mad. I was so mad about 7-inning baseball games. Are you kidding me?
And Dan, let me guess, you were only allowed to stay in one of those games. When you went to that game, were you only allowed to go to that first game?
No.
So you got both games. You got 14 innings.
Yeah, 14 is not 18.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like we got ourselves a little crybaby.
I paid to go to a baseball game. I expect to see a 9-inning game. The fact that the game originally was single game and got changed to a double header is not my fault. But at that point, let me ask. I expect to see 2 full 9-inning baseball games.
Well, yeah, you only paid for one, son. So
that's not my fault. You
got 5 extra free ones.
League picked the day to schedule the double header.
But I do have a question. So, like, if there's a scheduled double header and like you buying tickets ahead of time,
so double headers aren't scheduled.
But
double headers are usually only made for rain out makeup games. So what happens is you buy your ticket for the original game, and then if your game gets changed to a double header, you get access to both games.
But what about the people that buy tickets for the original date?
You get refunded your money.
Oh, so you just bumped.
You get refunded your money because a doubleheader will be scheduled for a later date and made up, and they can't sell 2 tickets to the same seat for the same day.
I guess that was so. If you find out though that the doubleheader is scheduled a day, can you buy tickets to the doubleheader? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can still buy tickets.
That's what I was asking. So
yeah, you can buy tickets
because you tickets.
No, you would buy one still, and then so like what happened with us was we got lucky enough that we bought a random day. KKD had picked a day for us to go, and it turned out that a makeup game had been scheduled from the Twins to the Sox for that day. So our game was originally scheduled for a 9-inning, like starting at 7:00 at night game. And what actually happened was it got turned into a doubleheader. So the first game started at like 3. So we had the option to go at like 3:00, and we could be let into the makeup game.
Got you. That's cool.
And stay for the makeup game, and then we would stay into our game and then watch the duration of our actual regularly scheduled game.
So you answered. So what happened to you guys is what my question was. Like y'all unintentionally bought tickets to a doubleheader game.
Well, we bought tickets to a regular. No, we bought tickets to a regular scheduled 9-inning game. When the rainout happened earlier in the year, it got rescheduled to that day after we had already bought our ticket. So because we had a ticket already, we could go in and watch the doubleheader, or we could go and just show up at our regular time and watch the second game.
7:00. That's cool.
Well,
right. So we did go for both. We got to see both games.
Dallas, you also do have to you do have to realize, Dallas, that he went to a White Sox game, so they just paid him to go.
Oh right, I forgot.
That is incredibly
with the coupons
and false.
And that was only true for 4 seasons. Okay, that was
one time. So the rules that will be starting next season, I think we can have a longer discussion about it, but I'd like to hear kind of a thumbs down on which one you don't like. Kind of real quick is the changes that will start next season. There will be a pitch clock, and so with that pitch clock, whenever there's no runner on base, there would be a 14-second pitch clock, and then if there's a runner on base, it will be 19 seconds. The second rule change next year will be a ban on the shifts. No, they haven't said to what degree there will be a ban on shifts. I know Dan already hates it.
Damn,
Look at him;
upset.
he's banging the table. So that's the second one. I know Dan hates it, and the third one I don't think anyone's really gonna hate because I don't know why you would, but there will be larger bases. I don't know why you would hate it, but that's another rule change. Dan, I know you hate the ban on shifts, so I'll say that.
Avidly
Avidly.
hate the ban on shifts.
Now they
it's
haven't
part of the
they,
game.
have, they haven't said
Taking away the part of the game.
they haven't said to what degree or what are the specifics for the shifts, like which ones you cannot do and all that.
And I will say that's what I need to wait to see what is going to be the limitations on shifting, because I mean, like, obviously you're going to be able to still play your position, you know,
Right.
and you're going to be able to come in. Obviously, they're not going to eliminate guys playing in on a bunt or playing no doubles, you know,
Right.
doubles in the outfield, cutting down gaps, stuff like that. I think what they're trying to eliminate is overstacking one side of the field and putting four guys, you know, between third and short or second and third, or I'm sorry, second and first. You know, having four outfielders, you move your second baseman in the short left, you eliminate a bloop single, you know, and you're out, your left fielder or your right fielder, I'm sorry, can now cover down a line, and your center fielder can give up a little more room straight away and can play more in a gap. I think that's what they're really trying to eliminate, is heavily stacking in one side of the field. But like, I don't like it. It doesn't matter. I don't like it. It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
Okay.
It's like in football. Like, you can't stop somebody from loading the box for a blitz, you know, or backing off to drop five men into coverage. Like, you're not going to do that. It's part of the game. It's part of shifting. You play your position and your shift and your scheme around how you think you're gonna pitch to a guy, how you think how he's gonna pull, how he's gonna hit. You know, it's baseball is supposed to be the quote unquote thinking man's game. It's based off of strategy. I'm gonna position my guys in a certain way. I'm gonna pitch you a certain way to get you to do what I want you to do. And they're eliminating that aspect. I really don't like it. I genuinely don't like it. So yeah.
I mean, if there's one clear thing, maybe this episode should just be called Dan is mad. Baseball's back, but Dan's mad.
Baseball's back, but Dan is unhappy with baseball.
Dan is disappointed.
Dan does not like the game to change. You know what?
No, I know it's not true. That's not true. I like the change in baseballs. I like the change. I don't like taking things away from the game. Because that's stuff that makes baseball baseball. I don't mind the bigger bases. That's going to allow for hopefully less injuries with guys going into a base. You know, you gives them more of an area to target on a slide, and it gives the fielder a bigger area to work with when it comes to positioning your feet to get out of the way of a runner. You know, that I have no problem with that. Absolutely no problem. It technically, yes, is bringing the base a little bit closer and shortening the 90 feet, but we're talking a mere inches here. But that I have no problem with. I really don't like the shift change. I don't like getting rid of the shifts.
I'm glad there's a rule you don't mind. That's all.
Hey, I'm all for some of the rule changes going forward too. I love the universal DH. I think it's going to give guys, it's going to give certain players an opportunity to showcase more talent and play that the National League and their rules didn't before.
Yeah.
They were the American League for a while too. Just saying.
I can't hear you over your chewing of whatever you're eating.
Yeah, that was
They were the AL's rules for a while too.
Well, just mute if you're going to chew, because I can't hear you over crunching.
Well,
Just saying the American League didn't have the DH.
I was gonna mention. I think a change that everyone will like is that starting next year, there will be less divisional games, and every team will play every other team in the major leagues at least once during the year. I think I love that idea because the Cubs, again, as a Cubs fan, you're gonna be able to see the Cubs play someone like Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge. You're gonna see
Who are those guys?
who are they? I don't know. But you're gonna be able to see every star is gonna go to every major city. I like that. I think that makes the game fun. I think fans will go out and see that. I think I haven't heard anyone say they think that's a bad idea. Do you guys?
No, I don't mind that at all. I like the opportunity to see teams that you don't get to see, except for like the way the season was scheduled before was what you'd see a division like in the National League one every third year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing every team every year, even if it's. And honestly, they'll probably do something where it'll alternate each year. So, like, obviously everyone knows I'm a Sox fan, so like the Sox will play the Dodgers every year, and it'll be 1 year it'll be at guaranteed rate. The next year it'll be at Dodger Stadium, and kind of go back and forth. As long as they do something like that, I'm for it.
Yeah, I mean that'd be fun, to be able to see like a big star possibly coming to your city like every other year. That'd be fun. I think that's a good way to show, especially the young kids, the big stars of the league. Is that at least every other year you'll see some of the best come around. So you know what? There's a couple more things, but what I'll do is I'll put it in the show notes. I think we've kind of exhausted the CBA a little bit. There are obviously a couple more things to talk about, but why don't we actually go to our second base topic 15 minutes in? Let's actually go to the next topic, which is the free agency. Now, as of us taping, and this is Monday night, there have only of our 10 players, there have only been 2 that have signed to any major team. There have been plenty of transactions, but I don't believe any major ones. The 2 that came out from our top 10 were we all got right that Clayton Kershaw was going back to the Dodgers. So got that right.
I called that one.
Now the second one is that Carlos Rodon is going to the San Francisco Giants.
They are overpaying for that man.
That was going to happen.
They are overpaying for him.
Well, Dan, as Carlos Rodon was just on the White Sox last year,
yep.
What are the Giants getting with Carlos Rodon?
About 17 games a season, maybe.
He's
got a good slider. He's got a good changeup. He hasn't played a whole season. Really, he's been hurt virtually every year. I think the Giants are hoping they can get something more out of him, but I think they're ultimately paying too much. I was never a big fan when he was in the South Side. He had the no-hit hitter. It was cool. Anybody that can do something like that in baseball, Ben tries to discredit no-hit hitters because There's like, 200 and some of them in baseball. But let him go. Have him. You can have him. Take him. He's all yours.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I think so was it? I think it's 2 years, right? 2 years, 44.
44. Yeah, 2 years, $44 million. Really? Whatever.
Yeah, that seems like a bit, but if they figure it out, if they work that Giants magic like they did last year, maybe it'll be
No,
worth
they
it.
were. Yeah, absolutely. They were a very good ball club last year. They've got other pieces. If they can bring back someone like Bryant, they'll be a team to contend in the West. 100%.
Dan, you're so funny, dude. You sound like a dude that just got broken up with by someone.
Oh
You're like,
no,
it's
I
fine.
genuinely,
It's fine.
I didn't
I
want
didn't even like
Rodon.
him. I didn't even
It's
like
not.
him. It's fine.
I was all for Rodon leaving. 100%.
It's for the money. It's
I think
fine.
Dylan Cease going forward is going to be better than Rodon was, and I'm really excited to see Kopech come as a full season as a starter.
Yeah,
he was hurt. He was hurt in 2020 when they had the shortened year, and last year coming back from the injury, he was hurt in 19 and then took 2020 off to continue to heal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the full starters role. And I'm sorry to say, but Rodon was the odd man out. You had, the Sox rotation. You got Giolito, you got Lance Lynn, you got Dallas Keuchel, you got Dylan Cease, who, like I said, I'm really excited to see what he can do going forward. And I want to see Kopech in a starter's role for the full year. And Rodon was the odd man out. So,
yeah, and again, as we tape this Monday night, it's about 10 p.m. here. Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Freddie Freeman, Chris Frank, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Anthony Rizzo, and Seiya Suzuki have all yet to sign. And I'm sure as you hear this, maybe one or all of them have signed. But as of right now, as we tape on Monday night, only 2 of them have signed, Clayton Kershaw and Carlos Rodon. So as of right now, each of us have a 50% rating on getting it right. So that's a good thing. Now, as we kind of look at our 2 favorite teams, our Chicago teams, the Cubs and the Sox. Dan, you were just talking about the Sox pitching staff. Do you like the Sox signing Joe Kelly?
yeah, 100%. Joe Kelly has absolutely electric stuff coming out of the bullpen, dude. That's 6. I think they had a list of that's 6 guys the Sox have come out of the bullpen that throw 90 to 100 plus. It's disgusting. You got Liam Hendricks, Craig Kimbrell, Kendall Graveman, Joe Kelly now. You got Garrett Crochet, and then a blank on the 6th guy that I just saw that I was other bullpen. Oh, Aaron Butler.
Yeah.
Aaron Butler. Dude throws like a 98-mile-an-hour sinker.
Yeah.
Bummer is so good, so nasty when he's on. I avidly love the signing of Joe Kelly. I think it's going to ball. You need it because he's essentially replacing Kopech. Because you're moving Kopech from the bullpen to the starter, and Joe Kelly is coming in as another just lights-out flamethrower who is very good in the 6th inning on, who is going to help bolster that bullpen and push other guys to continue to be better. And then I don't know if you're going to get into this, but the Sox also picked up Josh Harrison.
Yeah.
I like it. I thought they might go a different route. I didn't have an idea as to who, but I really didn't think Josh Harrison was going to be the guy they were going to go after. He's going into his 8th season as a veteran. He's an infielder / utility guy. I know he plays a lot of second. He's probably going to play second for the White Sox. He can play third. He probably can play some short. I thought they might go a little younger and try to get someone in free agency a little bit younger, but I don't mind it. I like Josh Harrison. You still have guys like Danny Mendick and Larry Garcia for the White Sox coming off the bullpen. I'm sorry, coming off the bench. But I do like Josh Harrison, and I really like Joe Kelly.
Yeah, and I think those two moves in particular for the White Sox have shown me that the White Sox are very comfortable with who they are. They are, if they wanted to, I feel like they could have gone out. In our predictions, I think two of us, I think it was you two actually, had predicted that the Sox would pick up Kyle Schwarber. I think it was
that was
Justin.
Wishful thinking. I think the Sox do need another lefty bat. Josh Harrison is a righty, righty. I do think the Sox need another lefty bat. I would like to see someone like Kyle Schwarber or Nick Castellanos. I think I saw earlier today they were saying Rick Hahn came out and said he likes the idea of Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets kind of platooning / competing for the right field position. I'm not as big of a fan of that. I'd like to have a more solidified ball player bat out there. I'm hoping they make a run at Schwarber, Castellanos, and those two still getting their feet wet. Like Gavin Sheets is still coming into his rookie season, man. He played like half a year last year. Vaughn too. Vaughn was a rookie last year.
So was Gavin Sheets considered a rookie this year?
I have to look and see how many games he actually played. I think it's the status of rookie is based on the number of games you play.
Yeah.
I think Vaughn is no longer a rookie. I think last year was his rookie year because he was up from I think day one.
How many games does it does somebody have?
I have to look it up. I don't know the exact number that dictates when you are not considered a rookie anymore. I have to look it up. I don't know the exact number.
You know what, Dan? I'm gonna ask you. Can you actually look that up while Dallas and I talk about the Cubs? All right. So, Dallas, the Cubs have only signed one player so far, and that is shortstop and veteran Andrelton Simmons. Now, Andrelton Simmons is a very good defensive shortstop. He played a long time for the Angels. He played last year for the Twins. He is a plus shortstop when it comes to defensive runs saved, but he is not I'll say it, he's not a great guy with the bat. Most of us predicted that the Cubs were going to sign Carlos Correa. Now, do you still think the Cubs can possibly go out and sign another shortstop, or is that a sign that maybe the Cubs are going in a different direction?
I think they'd go in a different direction. Well, I don't know what happened with it, but do you know the Cubs met with, was it Seiya Suzuki?
They were, so were they meeting with him tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I thought so.
No, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, Bleacher Nation put the story out. Yeah, so they were supposed to meet with him tonight, and let's see. Yeah, that's all. I mean, I don't see any results as of the meeting or from the meeting, but yeah.
But you think the Cubs are going in a different direction, not Correa?
I don't think they're going to go for Correa.
I mean, it's very subjectively. I mean, I wouldn't put past them. I've heard a lot of reports saying that Correa is looking possibly at going back to Houston. I don't love that as a Cubs fan,
right?
But I mean, that'd be still a very good fit for him. But I'm hoping, my pick of Correa actually comes through.
I'm sure you are.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I never know. But then, did you find out how many games do you have to
Yeah.
play?
So straight from MLB.com. MLB rules state a player is considered a rookie unless he has succeeded one of three thresholds.
Okay.
That would be 130 at bats or 50 innings pitched at the major league level, or 45 days consecutive on an active roster prior to September 1st. So that would say, I would say probably, I don't have to check Gavin Sheets' actual thing, but Andrew Vaughn would 100% have surpassed that. So that would be he'd be going into his sophomore year for next year.
Yeah.
Since he started the season, and I don't think Andrew Vaughn ever once got sent down. So I think he was a 162 game active roster.
Yeah.
Because he made the team out of spring training.
Yeah.
So
I'd be interested. I'd be very interested to see about Sheets because definitely has a bright future. But that might change my rookie of the year pick. But we'll kind of see on that and check on that later. So again, I'm not seeing any major moves this Monday night. Again, as you're listening to this, you're probably aware of at least one other signing. I'm gonna guess something else is gonna happen. So let's actually move on to just talking about of those picks that we had. So again, we had Correa, Story, Freeman, Bryant, Cassiano, Schwarber, Rizzo, and Suzuki. Now, which of those players? I know that three of us had picked Freddie Freeman to return to the Braves. Now, the Braves also just traded for first baseman Matt Olson from the A's. So, if Freddie Freeman's not going back to the Braves, where is he going now? Is he going to LA, New York, or is it somewhere else? What do you think, Dan?
I think Freddie Freeman is. I don't know. The
Pick?
Yankees just traded. I don't think he goes to New York. The Yankees just traded to get Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, true.
I think Freeman goes either back to Atlanta or he goes to the Dodgers.
So you still think
Because I
he
mean, you
could
got
go
universal
back?
DH now. You got a universal DH, of course. Why would you not have two first basemen that have either are both above average and great gloves defensively, when you can give them both a break by having the other one DH the entire time? You have two huge lefty bats in that lineup to go along with Ozzy Albies, Ronald Acuna, who is now back. I still think Atlanta has to be in the mix, but I think LA is going to be a favorite to get him. I don't think he goes to New York.
Yeah, one thing that just came out, I think it was the GM of the Braves had actually he was being interviewed about trading for Olsen and what that meant for Freeman's return, and he actually got choked up. And in that interview, he actually used the past tense when talking about their time with Freddie. So, as much as that's possible, I don't see it.
I don't know that that's so much foreshadowing as much as like a guy just reliving stuff. Like, because he's not signed him yet, he hasn't come back. But I get what you're saying. You talk about past tense, it kind of means there's no future.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't think you can take LA. I'm sorry, I don't think you can take Atlanta out of the mix to get Freeman.
okay.
Not yet. I think we got to see where more pieces fall. Like, because they might, because like obviously you got Rizzo, who's a big first baseman who's still out on the market too.
Well, I think Rizzo is going to sign after Freeman does. I don't think Rizzo is going to kind of go before Freeman. Do you? Because I mean, Freeman kind of would set the market. I don't think Rizzo's going to do that.
No, Rizzo won't. Freeman would. But a guy like Rizzo, I think, would have a better chance of getting more money if he signs ahead of Freeman. Because
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard to compare the two as far as the caliber of first baseman go, because I'm a really big Anthony Rizzo fan. And
Me too.
I don't want to undervalue him, but I think he would have more value by trying to sign first. Instead of being like, oh, well, you know what? You're not actually like Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
You don't have, whatever. I think it might benefit Rizzo to try to sign first.
Yeah,
I think he might be able to get more out of a team.
Might be in his best interest to go fast.
Yeah, if the price is right, I think it would be in Rizzo's best interest to go ahead of Freeman.
Yeah. Now, I know, Dallas, that when talking about these Cubs free agents, this is the last thing we'll talk about with free agents, because again, we don't have much as of right now. But there are 3 ex-Cubs that are still on the market, and that is Kyle Schwarber, Chris Bryant, and Anthony Rizzo. Of those 3 Cubs players,
who's that?
Who would you?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, no idea. Those 3 World Series champs, I have no idea. So, of those 3, who would you want to see come back to the Cubs?
I'd like to see Rizzo come back. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible?
I'd say that he's probably. I mean, he'd be the most likely to come back. I don't think. I don't think Bryant's interested in coming back to the Cubs ever, and I think that's more on a personal thing than it is like playing third base here. And Schwarber's just. I think Schwarber's more of an American League player. I guess now they've got DHs everywhere. So
Yeah.
I mean, if he wanted to come back, but I still think it's possible for him to find his way onto the White Sox.
Yeah, I tend to
for
agree.
it, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the Sox uniform. That'd be cool.
I'm all for it. Let's go.
I'm sorry to disagree. I don't think he's coming. That's all.
I don't think he is either. I don't think he goes to the White Sox, but it's wishful thinking.
Yes, I mean, so is Carlos Correa going to Cubs, but
he's not going to the Cubs, Jake.
All right,
stop it.
All right, you picked it too, so
I did, and then you signed Andrelton Simmons, and you did not sign him to play second. You didn't sign him to play third. You signed Simmons to play short, and Simmons plays the exact same position as Carlos Correa.
I didn't sign him. Okay.
You did not. Your team did. They picked Andrelton Simmons over Carlos Correa.
I mean, they only signed him for, I think it was $5 million.
Have fun finishing 4th in the Central next year.
We almost made the
ahead of Pittsburgh. That's it. Pittsburgh.
The Reds. Come on.
The Reds just dump shit. The Reds. Okay, so fine. The Reds are still going to finish ahead of Pittsburgh.
So we're looking for a strong 3rd place.
Oh yeah.
You're fighting with St. Louis for 3rd. I think it's Milwaukee. We already talked about that. I think it's Milwaukee's division.
See, Milwaukee got that dude that played McCutcheon, dude. I think that's awesome. I like that guy.
Andrew McCutcheon. I love Kutch. I think he's going to bolster that outfield too. With him,
they're gonna have a good team.
Hunter Renfroe and Lorenzo Cain
and
Christian Yelich. Yeah, are you kidding me?
It's gonna be a good team. It's gonna be fun to watch.
You're gonna be able to give guys like that rest, because you're probably gonna have Renfroe can play first. He's gonna DH.
Yeah,
that's 4 guys you got right there. You're gonna cycle through between 3 different outfield positions, DH and I really like Milwaukee going into this year. And honestly, what Seattle did today, trading for Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez,
Yeah.
dude, that was huge. I think for Seattle. I think Seattle just
They're coming.
besides picking up.
They're coming, boys.
Besides picking up, I mean, they lost Kikuchi, but they signed Robbie Ray, and we talked about that already. And I think the trade they made today to get Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez, I think that was huge for Seattle.
Call them up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go, Mariners.
I mean, the Mariners are still not taking the Astros out. I'm sorry, but they're not. They did improve.
No, but they're gonna surprise some people. They're gonna surprise some people this year.
Namely, Jake
Dallas
and Darren Enrique. You're gonna surprise these two the most.
Okay.
And
I mean,
Logan Wade.
All right. Yeah.
And Logan Wade, of course.
And again,
I don't know if he listens, but shout out to Logan Wade.
Shout out to the Logan.
Yeah,
Eight-man fire.
So we're actually going to wrap up and hit home plate. I know we only hit 2 bases today, but since Ben's here, we're not gonna do our trivia game. So why don't we just go to home plate? But this time, why don't we talk about what we've been watching? We haven't talked about that this week or last week. So what have you guys been watching besides baseball coming back? I'll start. Well, Dan, why don't you start us off? What have you been watching?
Non-sports related, I have been slowly watching the Star Wars saga. I've been trying to do it in canon. It's kind of difficult because there's a lot of different things. I didn't actually realize how many different Star Wars things are canon. Like even like like the Lego Star Wars stuff like that is all like canon across the whole saga. Like there's so much stuff to watch. So
what is canon?
It means like in progression. Like
got it. Thank you.
Like from like episode 1 all the way through the end. Like
cool.
So you can find stuff online, which is what me and a couple of guys did at work. We like I think a week or 2 ago, we were kind of sitting around and we were talking about stuff like that when it was just around when Boba Fett, the series, had just wrapped up the season. We were talking about it. So that was 3 weeks ago or so now. And I kind of just recently started, like I've seen a lot of it already, but I saw it when it was released, not like I said, like canon. So kind of just that, different things. I watched the newest James Bond movie last night, finally for the first time. I thought that was excellent.
That was good.
Otherwise, that's it, man. I'm always watching sports. Usually if my TV's on, and it's ESPN, it's MLB Network, NBC Sports, Chicago. It's sports like the entire time. Like I don't care if it's any hockey that's on. My TV's on hockey on the weekends in the morning. EPL. I love my EPL. So cool. That's it. But non-sports related. I've been trying to watch, like I said, Star Wars. Trying to watch the whole saga as much as I can.
Well, again, I just watched through all of it last year, so we can talk about it if you want. At some point.
Takes a year, Dan. It only takes a year.
There's so much.
I know there's so much stuff, dude. It was ridiculous. Like how much little like things that are like actually a part of it.
I will say this is that if you I watch them in chronological order, and I actually have favorites that people hate, but then also have some favorites that everyone loves. So it's really an experience. It takes a while though.
Yeah. So I mean Dallas canon just means like chronological order.
Canon. Yeah, boy. New word.
So Dallas, what have you been watching?
I've been watching The Last Kingdom. This new season dropped on Netflix. Holla at your boy, season 5.
I have no idea what that is.
It's pretty good. I watched part of the first season with, and then just kind of got lost, but
Yeah,
it was good.
it gets better. It's. I feel like there's like a big Viking kick with like TV right now, with the show Vikings, and then I think Netflix picked up this like the spin-off of it. So they're doing like some Viking show right now, and then they already had a Viking show called
Yeah, the
West.
second one's called Vikings Valhalla.
Yeah, I watched that too. Shoot, I didn't realize how much Viking junk I've been watching
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
week straight.
I think you got a problem.
Yeah, right.
The only prescription is more cowbell.
It's pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's a good storyline. I think this might be the last season of the series, though. So the way things are shaping up.
Really? There's 4 seasons of The Last Kingdom?
I think there's 5 now. With
This
this,
is the 5th?
I think with this latest one.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw that Batman movie. Can't get over it. It's amazing.
No good or good?
Highly recommended.
Really?
Yeah,
I've heard a lot about being really good.
And also really bad.
Well, there are people who say they didn't like it.
Yeah.
But everyone wants to compare it to The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger.
That's the new gold standard for Batman now.
Yeah,
I
get that. I get it, but you can't watch it like, in comparative to other things like that. You got to watch it for what it is. It's different.
But you know what?
It's a different like stuff like that.
100%, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to, but I mean, it's hard because he had big shoes to fill, and Ben Affleck did not fill the shoes as Batman. And I think people expected more from him because he's a big name actor, and then they kind of
hot take.
I mean, people expected things from him, and then
I wouldn't even consider what the hell's his name? Who plays Batman?
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. I wouldn't consider him a big name actor.
No, but I think, but that's where people were kind of hesitant. I was hesitant, but then I also thought back to me being questioning the role of Heath Ledger as Joker. I was like, why are they doing like this guy's in chick flicks? And then they did the same thing, and so I was like, maybe they're having fun. So I went into this one blank slate, and I'm telling you, man, like even comparing it to Dark Knight, it's pretty close.
Yeah,
might even be a little
close. Really?
That's high praise. High praise.
It might be, but I mean, Benny puts it above Dark Knight. I'm like,
oh really?
I'm hesitant to do that. Yeah. I'm hesitant.
Ben's also dumb. So like,
Well, welcome Ben onto the button. So you know what? I'll actually.
Someone called Jerry.
I'll go to, I know one of Dallas's favorite actors, Ryan Reynolds. I watched Ryan Reynolds just released a Netflix movie called The Ad Project, and Ellie and I watched The Ad Project. It was released last Friday. We watched it that night, and it was fun. So there was only one part that it was distractingly weird, but everything else it was a fun watch. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, it's so in the movie. It's not ruining anything. In the movie, there was a deep fake, and the deep fake is so bad.
There's a what?
It's a deep fake with like technology to make this person's face like on someone else and make them look younger.
Oh, okay, I get it.
It's so distracting to me. It was so distractingly bad. I was like, what? I don't want to watch anyway. But besides that, it was fun.
See, I thought that a lot about when they in that series Boba Fett. When you saw when they had the weird episode where it was just about the Mandalorian, and I thought when they made Luke look incredibly young when he first took on Grogu,
Uh,
I thought that looked
That-
terrible. That looked absolutely terrible.
that looked like head and shoulders better than this thing.
I don't even
This
want to watch
was
it
it was. I mean, this person wasn't a main character or anything, but it was a weird. Anyway, so but to drop the mood just for a second, I love the show This Is Us. I've
Yeah.
watched every episode. In this last episode, there was a moment in the show. There was one scene that I'm not gonna lie. I was sobbing of like how emotional it was, and so to bring it down a little bit, I was real sad.
Sounds
But
like
it was very
Typically,
good.
one is when they're sobbing.
I was
typically,
crying for days, and I loved it. That was cleansing.
that would be probably more sad. So, you know what? That's actually going to wrap up episode 11 of the On Family Basis podcast. Again, my name is Jake.
I'm Dan.
I am Lamp.
Are you?
I am Lamp.
Do you love the lamp?
I love it, Lamp. I love it.
Do you really love the lamp?
Do you really? Or are you just saying it?
So again, we'll be back on next week, and as you're probably listening to this, you probably have more news on free agents than we do right now. But have some fun. Enjoy the fact that baseball's back, and we'll be back on this time next week on your favorite streaming platform. So we'll see you guys next week.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
Bye.
I was pretty angry today.
You don't say.